Better Crops by Barker is back here on Monday, September 21st. Obviously, we're standing in a stand here, some frozen corn. We all have been talking about, and the biggest question of the last 4 or 5 days, certainly since Saturday morning's freezing, what effects this had on the corn crop? What do you think? And it's a pretty widespread area, there's no question. Kathy and I were in Goderich yesterday, and every field from here, there, and back again, every cornfield certainly had been touched with frost. Our local data recorder that we have just on the shop, or just behind the shop on the edge of Brian's field, said that from 4 o'clock in the morning through to about 8 o'clock, we were at -1 here. And for a period of time, for a little after 5:30 through to 7, we even got to a -2. We have access to a number of these data logging stations. Every Pioneer rep in the area has one. We can all go and look at each other's kind of temperature and weather situation at any moment. And pretty well everybody else I saw had a -1. I didn't see anybody that had a -2. And from what I can see is that certainly the biggest wounding so far is stuff that's very close here on line 4 and line 6. And I think it's just reflective of the drop, the local drop in temperature. What you tend to see when you get outside in a lot of fields, it's really we've just lost the top few leaves. The plant remains green, well up past the cob. So the plant obviously is still easily alive and still functioning and doing its thing. You can look at all sorts of charts on Google that talk about the percent yield loss from frost injury late in the grain fill period. It's generally pretty much accepted that right those last 2 weeks of grain fill, you kill a plant, you're maybe looking at 10% yield loss. You take a few leaves off the top, maybe 2% yield loss through just reduced test weight. Although it's the 2%, you'll never really know whether you had that or not. It really is an insignificant amount to try to measure. But the real question, bigger question, is when the frost injury starts to penetrate and get below the ear, like in this particular stand I'm in right now, we've got injury, even on the second leaf, easily below the cob structure. We've got some fairly significant frost injury on the silks themselves. It's a little too early to say for sure. I don't think this field's been killed, but it's just a little bit too early. It'll take another week or so to know if the shank indeed has dried up and been killed. Today, I don't think it has. Will it have yield impact? Yeah, somewhat. We have to remember that in those last 2 weeks of grain fill, the plant is at its maximum peak of shoving carbohydrates and weight into those kernels to build size, to build weight, and give us the kinds of yields that we enjoy hauling out of the field. And it needs every part of the plant functioning at full capacity to really take that right to the fullest extreme. That's why the high yield guys in the States, they want to keep it green from top to bottom right through black layer, and they have enough season that they can make that work. It makes perfect sense. Here we're on the northern edge of the corn belt. My gosh, we barely get corn to mature. A lot of years we fight with 25, 30, 35% corn. We don't have that same opportunity to keep it green from top to bottom and get dry corn still at the end of the day. So we still haven't gotten to the point where we can do that. We're used to losing some upper leaf tissue late in the grain fill process as daylight tends to shrink, et cetera, et cetera. But still, you take this much leaf material away, the photosynthetic raw material supplying green leaf material that takes that photosynthate and shoves it into the plant. The plant turns around and shoves it into carbohydrates and starch and pounds it into the ear. There's certainly a big demand late in the season. This particular corn is about 3,000 heat unit. We're 3/4, 80% milk line. Still got a little bit. It's going to be dinged a bit. There's no question. I don't think it's dead. I think there's still going to be again a reasonable amount of reserves pulled from the stock to make weight in each and every kernel. But it was wounded. It's wounded hard. Worst I've seen, no question. And we'll have to see. But for the most part, we've dodged a bullet through the area. Really, I don't think 90% of us really have no major concern. A little bit of burnt up leaf at the top, but the plant itself is still alive and green. So we're fortunate, and thank the Lord it wasn't worse. The early plants, actually, I've looked at some 2800 heat unit hybrids, and they've actually have black layered, given that they were planted 1st of May. So even if they did get killed, those particular hybrids were in good shape. But anything over 2800 through to 3100 heat unit, that's not finished, and still has a little bit of grain still to go. But even that, I think we're going to be fine. Not a significant amount of injury locally, with the exception of a couple of fields that we'll just keep an eye on. Other than that, it's a great week. Corn's coming off, beans coming off, corn silage is coming off. I should say is what I meant to say with corn. Silage coming off. Yeah, wheat's going in the ground. So she's a lovely late September week. Hope you have the best and the brightest of the whole works, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Thank you.